This is a video about chaining aliases and commands to speed up your workflow as a software engineer. In the last video, we talked about creating aliases either directly in our shell config files or in a separate dot file that is then sourced from the shell config file. A simple and common local environment setup is navigating to a directory and starting up your server or watcher, something like npm run serve or yarn watch, or navigating to a directory running docker up to get all your services running locally. When I want to work on my Jeopardy side project, it involves exactly that. I navigate to my Jeopardy folder. Then immediately once I'm in that folder, I run npm I and npm run serve, which is why I've created the alias sb-j-fe. If you've been watching my videos, you should be familiar with the cd command, but I'm sure you haven't seen the others as they're also aliases. sbj resolves to, and is resolves to. You can get pretty wild with chaining commands and existing aliases together, so I try to adopt a naming convention similar to what is actually being executed. SB is short for sandbox, J is short for Jeopardy, and FE for front end. My Jeopardy project is an SPA tied to a simple node backend, so the setup also requires the following command, sb-j-api, which reuses a similar navigation alias and starts up the Node.js server. When chaining aliases, it's important to understand your options for chaining commands together. There are a few operators that can be used. Depending on the type of commands or aliases you're chaining together, it might make more sense to use one operator over the other. If the successful execution of the first command is required before the second command can be run, you want to use logical AND so that it can short circuit before erroring out or failing on the second command. If the success of the first command does not matter, you can simply use semicolon, and all succeeding commands will be run in sequential order. And if you only want the second command run when the first fails, you want to use logical OR. Most if not all the commands I chain together are reliant on the first command running, like being in the right directory to run a command. So I've defaulted to separating them with logical AND across the board. Here are some other aliases I've created that chain commands together. The pros and cons for this video are largely the same as the last. You can easily cut down on repetitive commands, especially those that are always run sequentially. Execute command A and execute command B right after. Or attempt executing command A, and if it fails, attempt command B as a follow-up. Don't get carried away with the naming, as that can quickly get away from you. And be mindful of how many layers you're nesting, referencing, or chaining aliases. But most of all, have fun. Get creative with the small things you can cut down on, and enjoy tinkering. Thanks for watching. In my next video, I'll talk about functions so that we can have aliases with one, many, or optional parameters and execute different sets of logic accordingly.